Yes, so I'm gonna record. There are a few more people joining. So those of you that are joining, start writing in the chat what stress means to you. How is it manifesting in your life? What does it mean to be stressed? How are you feeling it physically, mentally, emotionally? They're gonna get rolling with the presentation in just a few seconds. Want to make sure that everyone is connected and joining. If you are able to type in the chat, then write what stress means to you. If you're tuning in via the phone and you're doing something else in between, that's perfectly fine. Just think it over. Think, what is it personal to you? Wonderful. Well, welcome. We're going to be talking about stress today. It's managing stress in times of uncertainty and all this crazy stuff that we've been living in. And I want to start by reading a few comments on what the stress means to you personally. We all respond to it differently. It all represents different things for us. So I have a few comments here if you want to chime in and leave a comment what a stress means for you. So we have unhealthy eating, grumpy. We have job loss, overwhelmed, fatigue, emotional, anxiety, nervousness, overwhelmed, feeling loss of control, grunchy, abrupt, impatient, migraines, tense muscles, how to participate, how to anticipate what's needed, anxiety, not having a clear mind, irritable, unable to be effective, anxiety, impatient, overwhelmed, frustrated. So yes, yes, and yes, I am certainly on board with you guys. And we are going to talk about a few tools and things today, or what you can do personally, as well as what resources we are providing in order for you to overcome it in the most holistic and healthy response to stress. I hope we all can agree that we're living in the most stressful times of our times, at least, and so this is a different case scenario, and so we need to look at things differently. With your permission, I will share my slides. I've prepared a few things. We are recording this presentation, so if you want to ask any question or share anything privately with me that no one else sees, please send a private chat to me. Otherwise, everybody else sees the comments. You can unmute yourself to ask questions, as well as I'll be pausing to see if there's any questions and comments. So just a few more seconds till this is loading, and I will share the slides and presentation once the video recording processes, and then we'll be good to go. Still admitting a few people today, anytime, so just loading. Alrighty, here we go. You should be able to see my slides. Are you guys seeing them? It says managing stress in times of uncertainty. Okay, I see some thumbs up. Great. I'm still admitting a few people. That's why you're seeing the mouse moving, but hopefully we'll get everyone in the room very shortly. So I thought I'll start with a little joke. I found it very cute, and I want to define a pandemic for you. On average, the panda feeds for 15 hours a day. This is the same as an adult at home under quarantine, which is why we call it a pandemic. So I thought it was a very appropriate definition of what pandemic represents for all of us. So those of you that have eating habits to overcome stress, I'm with you, definitely gained quite a few pounds, which I'm losing right now. But on a serious note, we want to talk about how are we going to overcome this situation. So I want to start by saying, from my teacher, I mostly study in India and the Himalayas, and then I supplemented with a lot of scientific research and other studies in neuroscience, emotional intelligence. Anand Mehrotra is my teacher in India, and when he said this phrase, it really rang a bell for me after I heard it like 10 times. There's no stressful situation, there are only stressed people. The way I want you to think about it, think about a general traffic jam. We're sitting in the cars. Are the cars stressed? Like the machines, the vehicles? They're not. They're cars. They're in that traffic jam. What's creating that stress and emotional tension is the people in the cars. We also may agree that the same stressful situation impacts people differently. And today I want to look at two kind of broader spectrum of scenarios of how we're getting impacted by this stressful situations, but understand that because it's not any particular situation or scenario, it's actually how we respond internally. Therefore, we have full control to change that. We can change our anxiety, overwhelm, and feeling stressed by paying attention to what's going on inside, and you getting all the tools that we need to to get there. So there are two types. Actually, I wanted to share a little neuroscience with you. Give me just 1 second. I'm not sure why it's not loaded. I was just checking it. In just a second, I was doing okay, and now it's not. So I wanted to share a neuroscience with you of what it looks like to understand what is happening within your brain. And then if it's not loading, then we'll figure it out the other way. But there are different parts of the brain that responds the way we are stressed. Okay, it's not wanting to load this slide, even though I checked it. So we're gonna do it this way. You should be able to, all right, this is new. Okay, I'll speak to it and I'll explain it, and then we'll go from there. I'll send this presentation so you'll have the visual for it. So there are at least 4 parts of the brain, and the way we get the stress is on the bottom part of the brain, where we have our hidden brain, the stem. This is responsible for our survival. So anytime when you have, let's say, a car driving towards your direction, that survival brain activates and you are able to dodge left or right without thinking. If you would have been analyzing where to go and how to get to the position where you are safe, you would have been run over. Another stress response is in our limbic brain, which is kind of like in the center of our head. That is our amygdala, that is our hippocampus. It literally sends emotional responses of analyzing situations before we even know it. Think about it as an avenue, a little path of neocortex. So if we think about, let's say you meet a new person and you are kind of deciding whether you're liking them or not liking them. On the subconscious level, on the limbic brain system, you already decided a million times faster how you are having that relations towards them versus analytically and logically understanding it, which is our thinking brain here. So if you think about a gigantic road, highway with 5 ways, one way, 5 ways the other way, that is our limbic system. It exchanges information from external environment to our brain at a ultra mega fast speed. What we usually though judge our stress responses, so I had there overwhelmed, feeling grumpy, feeling anxiety, nervousness. When we type these things, when we analyze how we're feeling right now, we're actually engaging our thinking brain. Now, our thinking brain is prefrontal cortex, is the newest part of the brain, and that is our executive function. This is where we consciously can understand what is happening and respond and decide. The downside of the thinking conscious brain, that it's much slower, and the majority of stress responses happening kind of outside of our understanding and control and consciousness. And so when you are wanting to change anything, we need to go on the subconscious habitual level. And that's what we are implementing within this program. That's what we are doing when we are making you breathe a certain way. Those of you that have attended some of the 15 minutes, we breathe a certain way, we move a certain way, we do visualizations in a certain way, because we're impacting our brain, not from here. I don't want you to analyze how you're looking when you're breathing. I want your nervous system to regulate and down-regulate itself, and there is science behind how it happens, but if we're gonna get too much into science of the trenches, it's gonna be too long. So I'm explaining now that it's impacting the lymphic system, the survival brain, and as a result, it impacting your behavior, which is your moving brain. And again, apologies for the slide is not working, but we'll get it going, and I'll share that with you in the next. So the way you can respond to stress, there are different scenarios for that. Let me pause here. Actually, I'm not going to share the screen right now, and ask if there is any questions. Does that make any sense? You can guys either do thumbs up or ask me, is there any questions or whatever? You guys are good? Let me kind of double check. Good, good, good. All right, awesome. Any questions? I know there is a lot of information in the afternoon. These are sessions, that's why I'm recording it, and we are going to take it slow in the 15 minutes. All right, well, seems like there are no questions. If you do have a question, please unmute yourself and ask it. So we kind of divided into larger, broad categories of how we respond to stress. And as doers and overachievers and those that want to perform well and producers, the majority of us associate with one, but we need to make sure that we are cognizant of how other people are responding and that we're not always responding in the same way. So two broad spectrums, and there's everything in between. One way to respond to stress is by doing. That means that we're over functioning. This is what I call my Russian mode, where I say, like, suck it up, it hurts, but keep going. Springing into action, giving advice, wanted to take control of over the action. And it may be unsolicited and it may be overpowering for others. Usually the leaders, overachievers, competent people, they kind of get into that business of doing. If there's a problem, there needs to be a solution. We need to work hard and fast at it. The other spectrum of things and how you can respond to stress is underfunctioning. These are your Netflix people. These are the people that all of a sudden, no matter how knowledgeable they were, they lose competence and confidence. They invite others to take over, and as a result, they're usually seen as unproductive and they're kind of deemed as lazy. They're really fragile and they blame themselves, thinking that they're the problem child. And their response, especially within organizations, usually could be gossiping, expressing worries, being concerned. These are two broad spectrum. We are not just black and white. I can tell you that when it comes to presentation, when it comes to talking to clients, when it comes to interacting with you, I am a doer. When it comes to accounting or anything, when it comes to numbers and fixing my QuickBooks, I am a freezer. It took me literally up until now to even look at it and get into some kind of mode with it. You can be one in one area of your life and the other in other area of your life. You can be a doer at work and a total freezer at home. You can come and you're like, I don't want to wash dishes. I don't want to interact with anybody. And then your spouse is upset and they're thinking that you are a freezer everywhere, whereas you are killing it and charging at work. So here are the suggestions. Whatever areas of your life that you are doing, you want to spring into that action. It's actually slowing down. It's embracing that vulnerability of understanding that not everybody responds the same way, and that slower is faster for you in this case. If you slow down, if you downregulate yourself, think things through, get the emotions out of the way, you will get more bang out of your buck, pretty much, out of your time investment. If you are a freezer, then it's the practicing, returning to that strength, understanding that it's just a stress response. It's not who you are. And if you have a team member, let's say you are a manager and you have a team member that when challenged, go into that freeze mode, even though you know they're an amazing professional, then how can you softly motivate them? How can you get that confidence back? And maybe practice those skills together. So I'll pause here for just a second. Are you guys associating more with doers or freezers? So write in the chat I want to kind of see where are we at on the spectrum. Let's put at work, or if you can already see that in one case scenario you are doer in another freezer, it creates first component to change and managing stress is the awareness, is understanding ourselves, understanding our response. So think about, like, what is it looking like for you? And I'll see a few comments here. So I have doer, depending on the situation. Doer, both, can be both, doer at work. So yes, we have a lot of doers, and that's, the majority of performing high-driven companies are like that. So I'm a doer with some task and a freezer with some. This is great awareness. Both leans to freezer, both. Okay, so this is applicable not only for you, and thank you so much for sharing participation, but think about your teams, think about your families, think about your colleagues, and having that understanding and being more compassionate towards how other people respond to stress creates you more opportunities and avenues to stay in that motivational, inspirational, and great leadership productivity versus just getting upset over it and thinking that people are lazy and unproductive and unsuccessful. So that's where we're heading. Hope that's helpful. So moving forward, stress is a practice, so is calm. What do I say by that? There is an experiment with mice that has been done on epigenetics. And they were training this mice to smell, I think it was like lilac, and then they would sting them with electric shocks. Over time, whenever the mice will smell the lilac, they will get stressed because they kind of got the habitual response of smelling the lilac, getting shocked, smelling the lilac, getting shocked. They had 2 generations of breeding that mice that were shocked by the lilac, and then they were checking 2 generations past. So the grandparents were shocked when smelling the lilac. The grandbabies, whenever smelling lilacs, were having stress response reactions. And this is epigenetics. This is just DNA and genes. Now, think about what kind of stress responses could you absorb from your parents? What kind of stress responses could you absorb from the environment that you were in, from your teachers, from your colleagues? Now, when they reversed the experiment and they were giving positive situations and calming responses to the mice, the same thing happened. And the generations, when they were having babies, that was passed on as well. And they were more calm, their immune system was better, they were happier, they were solving maze much better. And so you can start practicing to be more calm, to be more stable and have less stress, and making it real choice if you understand that it's something that is outside of your control, what kind of situation you get, but it is in your control how to respond to that. What are the tools that you can implement to do that? I know that, oh my goodness, sometimes today is just not a good tech day. There is a scenario of, I'll stop this for a second. One of the tools that I really like that is very easy is I feel versus I am. Here's how it works. Whenever we are stressed, overwhelmed, we tend to say, I am stressed, I am overwhelmed, associating the whole person with you. But what really happens is that it's not all of you that is stressed. It's not all of you that is anxious. It's not all of you that is overwhelmed. There's a portion of you that can observe that you have those emotions. And so training to learn and understand and saying, instead of I am, and creating your identity around stress, saying, I feel anxiety sometimes. I feel stress sometimes. And I also feel calmness, and I also feel love towards my family, and I also feel happiness. So using that language to create degree of separation, what it does, it literally helps us to attribute and activate the prefrontal cortex, that is our executive function, and deactivate the limbic system. So little easy language, right? I am versus I feel, but creates tons of a difference on neurological perspective, and your body starts to react differently, because all of a sudden is not your association, is not your identity of stress. This is just part, and we're all humans and we have these emotions, and they actually help us to survive. As I said, remember the car driving, if we didn't have that reaction or that immediate response to external environment, then we wouldn't be here. Stress actually keeps us motivated. Stress helps us to go outside of the comfort zone. Stress helps us to evolve. It's when it's constant and chronic and overwhelms us, that's when it becomes a problem. So I feel versus I am. How are we doing so far? I want to make sure that you guys, so far so good. Does it make sense? Right, plus, we'll save some time. Oh wow, I still have some people coming in. All right, I see some thumbs up. Great. Stop typing those emails. I know you do, so pay attention. All righty, almost done. Let me share the screen. So there are a few other things that you can do that are scientifically proven that will help you to overcome the stress situation. So one, and it's proven, and we can talk forever about that, is taking breaks. Taking about 5 minutes every hour is scientifically proven to reduce stress. It increases focus, increases productivity, because we are switching between being ultra focused and being unfocused. And that unfocused time is eliminating and allowing our other parts of the brain to downregulate. help ourselves to switch, especially if you're a doer, especially if you just go, 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 go. That will benefit you a lot to have the white space. How do you do it? You schedule it. I know some of your schedules are back to back to back, and you need to schedule the 15 minutes for yourself. Leave space in between. If your calendar is publicly shared like mine, I actually literally book my time in between, so nobody can book that time. So I can go outside, so I can meditate if I need to, so I can reset, have some water, go to the bathroom, and don't feel rushed. Grounding in nature are the other ones. I speak about grounding more in my book, but grounding actually is touching the ground. So the earth, I don't know if you know that or not, but the earth have electromagnetic fields that are scientifically measured, that has the electromagnetic impulses. So does our body, and it kind of mirrors the earth. All the objects in this universe have electromagnetic representation. And we're not just the matter, we are the wave, and these waves interact. When we are stressed, when we are intoxicated, when we are overwhelmed, we have a lot of positive charge electrodes in us. When we touch the ground, like physical dirt, I'm talking about dirt, or we go into nature, when we interact with animals, when we go for a walk and just fresh air, this free positive charge stressed radicals, they get absorbed and attracted by the negatively charged particles that are in the earth, in the nature, and by touching it. What it does to our system, actually, there is a study of healing wounds. So the article is pretty gross looking, but people had really bad skin infections and wounds and surgeries and scars. Those that would ground themselves, and there's different ways to ground. The easiest is just go outside and walk barefooted or touch the ground. But sometimes there are like grounding mattresses, there's grounding water, there's tons of different stuff now. But when the people that would ground themselves for a number of minutes per day, their scars healed faster, they had lesser scar tissue, and just in general, their rehabilitation was much faster. Nature, profound healing impact. The weather is going to get a little grumpy soon. So if you don't have opportunity to go into nature, then have a plant, interact with a pet, be able to see outside. So it's not all or nothing. You can actually have little touches. Have a plant by your computer, and that's already a perfect thing. Touch the leaves, look at the flower. That impacts our brain. Supplements. In this high doses of stress that we are right now, I'm actually using, and by the way, supplements, consult your medical physician. I'm not a doctor. This is something that I'm sharing that works for me. Please, please, please be careful with whatever you are taking, not recommending anything one or the other. But for about a year, I've been taking, and I found these in Whole Foods. There are mushroom supplements. This is lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, and chaga, that I've been making like a coffee morning drink, adding also MCT oil that is really good for brain health. And that has been my morning drink. And I can share the recipe if you email me. That literally has created incredible amount of energy, feel less stressed. I also work with Chinese herbal doctor medicine that helps to create everything on a holistic thing. So anything holistic and natural that you can do for yourself, like fish oils, omegas, are very important to supplement right now because we're in such a high stress environment these days. Turmeric, amazing anti-inflammatory. When we are stressed, the brain gets inflamed. There are higher inflammation inside the blood. Turmeric is really good anti-inflammatory, so is cacao. Ladies, if you have a lot of cramps during the moon cycle, cacao is amazing. So is a glass of red wine. Not supporting any alcohol consumption, but there are different anti-inflammatory natural remedies that you can do. What we're doing for you with Kurt and Mark's support and EG Workforce support, this 15 minutes wellness sessions that we're offering on Tuesdays and Thursday, these are amazing opportunities for you to learn the techniques, breathing, visualization, experiment with your body that will reduce stress. When you are consistently practicing over time, it will get better. We are going to roll out a challenge next week. So these are going to be micro practices that you can actually, I'll show you what it looks like. They're going to be a tracker, and you will have micro practices for yourself whenever you will find the time for you, and it's all you driven, small 2-minute exercises, creating those habits, creating those response. And I wanted to mention one thing before we open the Q&A. Immersions or retreats, that has been moving the needle for me for a number of years now. I go on retreats every year, sometimes twice, 2-3 times a year. This year I couldn't go physically because of COVID, like all of you. So it was an online retreat that I took from India. Because it helped me so much and resonated, I've actually decided to design the retreat for all of you guys. This is not something that's offered by EG, but it's open to all of you, very flexible. So consider joining, and you will have the information inside the slides, but pretty much it's sattva.me/retreat. That is a very affordable, flexible solution for you to get merged into what I call the very deep relaxation response, or practice on your own terms and get more into depth. There are so many tools that I want to share with you guys, but we only have short formats, and so different interactions and immersions will help me to be able to share more. This concludes everything that I wanted to share. Please ask questions. We have a few minutes, and if you don't have any questions, then I would love to hear from at least 3 people of the biggest takeaway right now.
So you're saying that red wine is recommended daily?
No, red. I was referring to red wine as during the moon cycles for ladies. I was recommending for the first day, only if you have cramps. So that will reduce inflammation. So no, I don't drink red wine daily. Any alcohol consumption daily, don't recommend at all. But it's
okay.
Thank you for this clarifying question. Really, really big difference. So I'm actually going to launch a poll while I'm answering this question. So if you don't mind answering. So I have the question. I feel sad after stress relief meetings. Any idea why? So there are different combinations of this. We are generally having different levels of underlying emotions that are kind of like go-to emotions that are generally there, that we are just habitually inside that. Whenever we slow down, and on the stress relief meetings, we definitely slow down. We get a lot of slower brain waves. We want to breathe, we want to pause. All of a sudden, that space and that awareness creates an opportunity for you to see what is really going on inside. If you don't pause, usually during the day, we just go, we are busy, we're doing all these things. So I would ask you a question. Is there any underlying sadness that you have been kind of brushing away? Maybe this whole isolation creates sadness. Maybe there's something going on personally or professionally that creates sadness. And now that you're slowing down in this 15 minutes, you can actually see that sadness. So I would reach out to you separately, and we can chat about that. But overall, just notice, is there anything that you can associate the sadness outside of the stress relief sessions, and kind of do a little bit, maybe journaling. Journaling is a good tool for that. So we have about 19 people out of 25 votes. So I'm gonna end the poll, but we got a good breakdown here. So I'm gonna share the results with you. So we have great response. I see that you guys enjoyed the webinar. Thank you so much for your sharing, and I'll stop sharing this. Any other questions? I would like to hear maybe a comment of what was the biggest takeaway.
Oksana, this is Linda. I will just tell you that I want to thank both you and Kurt, because the timing of this is amazing. I think with everything that's going on, I have found myself being personally very frustrated with certain things lately that just usually wouldn't bother me, but I know I'm ouchy. I'm really kind of ouchy. My husband will definitely tell you I'm ouchy. And so I think that I'm really looking forward to some of these worksheets and these practices, because I'm because I have to commit to doing some of this stuff. I just do.
Right.
Otherwise, my husband will kill me.
Well, stress is accumulation.
Yep.
So happiness. It could be microdoses, 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 and we feel like all of a sudden we blew up. No, it's not all of a sudden.
Oh,
Never all of a sudden.
you're
It's
right.
really things. So is calmness response. It's accumulation. It feels like you were attending this 15 minutes and nothing happens. Maybe you feel something else, something more. But all of a sudden you kind of like, oh, I feel generally better. So let's all of us hold Linda accountable so her husband doesn't kill her. I know that we are right on the dot. If you have to leave, please, by all means. Otherwise, I would love to hear from one more person, any takeaways from either this webinar or in general, or a question. I'm still here.
I can share. This is Tracy. My takeaway that I am going to commit to, and I ask everybody to commit to on our team, is taking that 5-minute break. And even if it's not going outside, just stepping away from our screen, because we're on the screen, some of us 8 to 10 hours a day. And I think that 5-minute break, whether it's at the top of the hour, at the end of the hour, I'm going to commit. I think that's a great idea. So thank you for sharing that.
Excellent. And yes, next week's challenge, it will assist you into making those commitments, because you will see it's going to be challenging to do and follow this commitment. You definitely will experience certain resistance, and the schedule going to get on the way and things like that. So if you are guys interested to create a little more structure around these breaks, please join us for the challenge kickoff, and I'll make more clarity on what it's looking like. Appreciate your time today. I will share the presentation. Apologies for it not loading correctly. Seriously checked everything before, but you will have all the slides and all the materials right after I process this recording, as well as this recording for you to rewatch and share with others. And I will see you tomorrow at, what is it for you guys? 3:45, so on the Eastern time. If you have any questions, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to stop recording, but I'm here for any more questions and comments if you need to. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.